The first thing you want to do is cut your scrap wrapping paper into strips. I've made mine 1.5 inches wide, but it's completely up to you. It's going to kind of depend on how big you want the overall bow and how much paper you have. So we're going to make 9 strips total. You're going to need 8 for the actual bow and 1 to create the center. So what you'll do is first you're going to make each of your loops. So pretty much just take your strip, stick your 2 ends together, and that's going to give you your loop. You'll need to attach each one of these, so you have 2 options. You can use a stapler, which is a pretty easy option. Or if you don't have a stapler on hand, or if you're like me and have all sorts of things on hand, you can also use some adhesive, like scrapbooking adhesive or something like that. This takes a little bit more effort only because you have more chance of it trying to run away from you. But either way, you're going to end up with the same end product. So you're going to do that 8 times. And I'm just going to stick with my stapler because it does take a little less time. And actually, you're going to want to make one set of these slightly shorter than the other. So do 4 loops that match. Then just take your 4 remaining strips and cut some of it off. I think last time I cut about 1.5 inches off. So you can just eyeball it. The main reason you want to do this is so that when you make your second set of loops, that they sit a little bit inside of the first set. So I'm going to set these over to the side so I remember which ones were the short ones. And you're just doing the same thing again. You're going to make your set of 4 loops and attach them at the bottom. And if you don't want yours this wide, you can always make them skinnier. Like I said, if you only have a little bit of scrap paper, you may want to make them skinnier just so that you can get enough out of it. So you're going to turn them so you have wrong side out because you want to make sure that your pattern is what's the top of your loop. So once you have your small 4, you're going to put them together to kind of make, I guess you would say, a plus sign. And then once you get these together in the middle, you're going to have to use a stapler because otherwise it takes a little bit too much effort to get everything hooked together. So there's your first set of 4. And those are your small ones. Then you're going to do the same thing with your larger ones. And again, the easiest bet with this is to go ahead and just use your stapler. And so now you're going to have 2 sets of loops, your bigger set and your smaller set. And now you just have to set them together. So once you put them in either direction, you're going to start to get that bow shape. This is where it gets a little tricky because now you're going through multiple layers of paper. So this is where your adhesive is probably going to be your best bet. I would run enough that once you get it down there, you don't have to mess with it too much. Because I know a lot of these scrapbook adhesives, once it's down, it's down. You're kind of lost cause at that point. So now you've got the basis of your bow, and then you just have to take your 9th strip, which I have misplaced, so I'm just going to use this one here. And then you're going to make a loop that's going to fill in the center of your bow. Depending on how big you make your loops, you may need to actually use a thicker strip than your first one, but I think this one's a little too big. So we'll just go ahead and make it a little thinner. And then just kind of loop it up to see, you know, how big you're going to need to kind of fill in that space and make it look kind of like those store-bought bows. You can go ahead and staple this one as well. And then again, you're going to have that same problem of not being able to get the staple through. So you definitely want to run your adhesive on there a couple of times so that it sticks. And then stick that right down in the middle and ta-da! You've got a bow. Hopefully that made a little bit more sense than my written directions. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment or shoot me a tweet and I'll try to answer it for you. Thanks!